Oh, hello there. Welcome to TCB Studios. Welcome to Burn It Down. Want to thank our sponsor, Kelly's Death Pickles. Want to thank Renee and Jonathan behind the scenes and everyone else behind the scenes at Cosmos Creative Television for making this happen and for making some of my dreams come true. I'm super excited and honored to have this guest tonight. I've known him just under 20 years, I believe, and I think we'll get the exact date down before the end of our show. But he's a musician, extremely talented musician, a father, a husband, a DJ, an unbelievable music appreciator and fan. We've had some of the greatest conversations about records over the years. And now I'm proud to say, besides being a friend of mine, he's a business partner of mine, one of my co-hosts in a project that we've been working on. I'm looking forward to doing more with him in the future and doing more projects in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me make a round of applause for Mr. James Joyce.
Hey there.
What?
Can you hear me? Thank you very much for the introduction. I think we've known each other 30 years.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
it's so funny. The brain, and I'm very good with numbers. I've had people say this to me so many times. Marlo Sanchez, who we both know. Cassie, we'll give a shout out to our partner and coach
Cassie.
of the ones and twos. My assistant. Someone will say, "Oh, on June 18th,
Yeah.
I need to take my so and so my dog to the vet or my mother to the doctor," and I'll say, "Oh, and it's like May," and I'll be like, "Oh,
Right.
that's a Tuesday," and they're like, "What? How does that happen? How do you do?" The only thing that
Because you're playing a show on the 16th and you know
that
that.
is the only thing that I can think of is our brains are trained as musicians who've been playing now for the better part of 30 years, that we
Yep.
know when shows are on a Thursday, or even if it's not a show of your own. Like you have tickets to see a show on the 14th, and you're like, wait a minute, I don't want to stress the wife out. It's a school night, it's a Tuesday night. And someone goes,
Yep.
"Hey man, June 16th. I go, "Hey, wait a minute, that's a Thursday. I can do it, it's unbelievable. But the other crazy thing is the brain plays tricks on me. And I'm like, because I've known you for so long and I want to get into that, and we will. But
Yeah.
but sometimes our lives on stage and off, and then shows and everything in the middle, in between. Sometimes it feels like 2 weeks ago. And then some days it feels like 3 lifetimes ago.
Yeah. There's some lost years there for sure.
Unbelievable.
I mean, just this time flies, you know. We've known each other since high school almost. So
Yes. Well, I'm a few years older than you, so I had moved here from.
old man.
So yes, and we are in Atlanta. I'm in TCB Studios in Atlanta, and I met you while you were in so many great bands. Car vs. Driver, Ghost Eddies,
Yep.
Halal Shaddad, the Midget Farmers, and I played with several of those bands. And I'm
Yep.
thinking, my guesstimate is saying summer of '94.
Maybe I'm
So
thinking.
that would be 28 years. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
I was
That's
way
close.
off in 20 years. Yes, you're absolutely right. And the other insane thing is that myself, you, and Cassie, again, shout out, who we will talk about our show. I met you both probably around the same time, but completely separately. And then now we're doing this great passion project that we love, and we're getting behind and doing so much with. I love the way all of these things happen and come full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we've known each other forever, but we were always kind of passing by each other at shows and stuff. I'd always see
Right.
your band, go see my bands, but we never. It's one of those things like I don't. I interact with people through doing things with them. So
Sure.
like if we didn't do anything together, like if we weren't in a band together, or if we didn't do three on the ones and twos together, it's sort of
Right.
like we would still say like 5 words to each
Oh,
other,
yeah.
here and there. Or I'd see you at the bar or something and be like, hey man, it's good to see you, blah, blah, blah. You got your thing, I got my thing. So
Right.
it's funny when we've like, now that we're connected, that it's like, oh, okay, well, now we're like, now
Hey,
we can kind of
yeah.
catch up 30 years of all the similar experiences and shared things.
And that
Yeah.
excites me. And that excites me so much. So I know you as a fantastic drummer, a great a guitar player, and also a trombone player. But basically, I just tell people, yes, he's like I said earlier, a wonderful music fan, but plays every instrument. But that's what I was going to get to about the DJ and the music fan thing, because you do
Yeah.
something that is so wonderful and also thoughtful. When you DJ around town, you write your whole list of songs in order that you play, and then you
Yeah.
post it online as a Spotify playlist. And
Yeah.
I've worked out to them. I've worked to them. I've been 30 feet in the air running, fiber, in a television station, listening to your playlists, and it's so thoughtful and awesome. And well, one, I think you have impeccable taste in music, but it's
Yeah.
also it's wonderful because during those years where we maybe saw each other, where we shared a stage and played a show together, or we were at the same show and we said hello to each other. That was about it. Maybe we'd have a pint glass of beer. How's the family? And
Sure. Doing good.
nothing
Yeah.
intentional. You're just
You give
very
me
good.
a kiss on the cheek,
Yeah,
and move on. So
a hug.
how
Yeah, a hug and a high five. But you do
yes.
this thing that's another wonderful thing about you is, so then I'm listening to this playlist, and then all of a sudden I hear the first All Night Drug Piling Wolf 7-inch was the first thing that I put out, on Rock's
Right.
House Records, and I'm like, whoa. And then I realize, yes, besides you playing Gang of Four and the first Elvis Costello record or something, you're
Yeah.
playing your local friends and local favorite records and supporting the scene. And again, it just shows you, well, one, just how rad of a guy you are, how cool you are, and also how cool these songs go interplay with each other.
Yeah.
Like
I
each
mean,
song is thought out.
I totally, so I don't really think of myself as a DJ. I mean, when people use the term DJ, they think
Right,
of like somebody at like a dance club or something. So it never occurred to me to do this, but then I would go to, places like Elmere where they started having people play records, and it's just a bar, it's not a club or anything like that.
right,
It's just a place where you can, have a drink and a burrito, and it's great. And it's super small. And my friends started playing records there, and eventually Rick Moore said, "Hey, you should come deep. Like you have great records. Why don't you bring some of them out and play?" And I never thought about it before. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, why don't I do that? Like why don't I just bring a box of records and with see hang out with Rick, have a beer, play some music." And I got really into it, and then as I was doing it more and more, people would come up to me and say, "Hey, what did you play like an hour ago? What was
right.
that song?"
What was 4 songs ago or something? Yeah,
I'd be like, "I don't know." But then I started writing them down just in case. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I played this," and then I started. Since I wrote everything down, I started making like a playlist of it just for fun. Like, what the hell? Like, let me just put it all together. And then it became like this weird habit. And now I have to have like a notebook with me when I play records, and I have to write things down. It's this weird thing. I've talked about it with other people, and nobody can like, I can't explain it, but it almost in my brain, it sort of fits. Like I can't, I feel like lost and adrift at sea, and I
right,
don't know what to play next if I don't like write things down for some reason.
right.
It's a handicap, but it's kind of nice. Anyway, people don't really ask me that much anymore. Like, what did you play? Whatever. I guess they probably like
Well, they know
use.
the next day you're gonna post it. So it's
Yeah.
lovely.
But
It's
what's funny
lovely
is
and thoughtful. That's all I'm
people.
saying. It's lovely and thoughtful, and I appreciate it so much. And I've listened to it. I've gone
Yeah,
to them. I love your thing that you and your wife do, the 2 song Saturdays, when you make me think. Wait a minute, what song is about sports? Or I mean,
yeah,
like you got me good the other day. I had to really think about it, and I picked REM Night Swimming. I'm like, yeah, that's a sport. I mean,
You're right. I was thinking about that. I was like, what is Tom thinking about? Yeah, because it's also and a friend of mine, kind of a long distance friend named Taryn. She started it with me kind of during the pandemic, when we were all in quarantine, and we started doing these collaborative playlists because Spotify has, this feature where you can collaborate together
mhm,
on playlists. So you'll do, and so we started opening it up to friends, and some friends were like spamming it. They would like throw in like 10 songs in a row or something, but
right,
we always would do a theme. And so the theme was always something like one theme we did was like, what was your first show? Like a song by a band that played at the very first show you went to, and what was a song that was played by a band at your first concert. So like
right,
concert being like a stadium kind of big show where you
right. A
saw
big show, yeah.
whoever, you saw Depeche Mode, or whatever. And then the show would be like your club show, like your first time, you
A
went to
punk
the
show,
masquerade
yes.
and you saw like
Yeah.
a punk show or whatever. So like those kind of things are really fun because and it's only two songs that people will pick and then they'll put them
Yeah,
on the
and
play.
people, yeah, and people need to listen to that and just do too. Yes, you got me good the other day. I mean, it took me. I was with my dad, doing some gardening, and I'm already listening to music, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me think about this. Night Swimming came up, and then Tony Adams is a Joe Strummer song, and Tony Adams was a famous English footballer, soccer player. So
There you
that's where I went with that. But you've got me good on those a few times. Like what songs about being with somebody that you depend on a love, and what songs about being very alone, or
yeah, yeah. We did
along
ones
the
about being together with people. And also we try to do like sort of yin and yang type things
yeah,
because it's only two songs. It's just these fun little things that we do, and it's open to kind of everyone. I just post it out on Facebook and make it like collaborative. And for 24 hours, people will, they'll bring in their two songs, and it's kind of fun to like interact with people that way in kind of
I
musical
love
way.
it.
You
Yeah,
learn things from people. And yeah, and the DJing is fun, of course. It's a nice hobby. I play drums, so I play in a band called Blood Circuits. These days with Brian Kinchelow, of course, your
yes, and Greg
soulmate.
Tay,
Yeah,
who works with us behind the scenes on Three on the
yeah,
Ones and Twos. Yes,
yeah, who I've known forever as well. I've known him longer than I've known you, but we've played together off and on. So with the last year and a half, we've been playing together in a band called Blood Circuits. So we're playing on Sunday, and we're when you talk about like dates, you're thinking like Sunday, okay, Sunday the 26th.
the
Okay, when do I
26th.
need to practice? Probably that morning. Like we're like,
Right, because Sunday
lots
nights you
of
usually practice, and if it's an afternoon show, well, that's not going to work.
what are you gonna do? Yeah. So yeah, we're playing on Sunday at Boggs Social and Supply
In the
and
West End of
West
Atlanta,
End.
which is lovely. And you're going to be around some legends. I'm going to be in town. We're looking forward to coming out. But you're playing with another awesome, famous drummer.
Yeah. So we're playing with Conan Neutron, which has Dale Crover from the Melvins on drums. So a drum hero of mine. I saw the Melvins play with Guar when I was 15 years old
I just
in
love it. Yeah,
1990. And
I love it.
so I don't know if we'll get to talk to each other, but it would be kind of an interesting thing. Like, hey, you're
I'm
the
going to
first
bet.
person.
I'm going to bet that you will. I'm going to bet that you
Yeah,
will talk to him.
it'd be
Yeah,
nice. I don't want to be that guy who like goes up to their idols and
he's
I
very
don't
approachable.
I don't want to be a punisher. You know the whole term of being a
I do.
punisher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that guy. So I may just be like, "Hey Dale, awesome. Thank you for playing. Love your drumming. Very inspirational. Cool." If
I
he
did
wants to
that.
say anything,
Yeah,
I'll say,
I did that to him in Philly, and I said, "Can I get you something?" He said, "A whiskey," and I said, "You got it." That's funny that you mentioned that because when I was little, like when I was a boy, Robert De Niro in like Cape Fear was the coolest, most badass punk-looking man ever in the world to me. Slick back
Mhm.
hair, tattoos, and stuff. And I've never met Robert De Niro, and nor do I look at him that way anymore. But I always remembered, even at a young age, if I ever met Robert De Niro, well, one, he's an intimidating man, but I would just say to him, like, look at him, go, thanks for doing what you do, and walk away. And
Yeah.
but I have met so many other heroes of mine. in the arts world and the music world. And literally, I've just done that, And
Yeah.
the cool thing is, some of them have been like, "Oh, thank you for that." You see, they acknowledge that
Yeah.
you're respecting their space so much that they come into you and they talk to you.
Yeah. That I did that with Mike Watt because I know he's a very approachable guy. Everybody's talked to him. He's like a guy who will just, hold court and you can talk to him,
Yeah,
whatever. But I just, we had a show and he was there with the band Boris and he
yeah,
was sort of, hanging out in the Earl, but like in the back area by the like little booth with the
right,
little stools and stuff by the edge of the bar. So it's
sure.
kind of like didn't want to bother him and stuff. But I was like, I gotta say something, the whole night. And then finally he was like leaving to get in his van. He had the van was there.
Yeah,
And
Jim
he
O'Connor. Yeah,
and I just went like, thanks, Watt, one of those things. And he just like went, yeah, like but I was pissed. And it was like that
yeah,
was all
because he's got that.
I've been seeing for 28 years or whatever, play
Yeah, because
shows.
he's got that wonderful working class mentality,
Yeah.
as a blue collar worker in general, and then as an artist, his whole approach, and you just like, you know, you just want to acknowledge and thank him
Yeah.
for the inspiration.
Yeah, he's totally. I mean, he's a such an important figure in my life. It's like a person who approached music in a very sort of like down to earth way, and has always been a hard worker and just like grinds it out. I mean, he just
Yeah,
that last tour he did, he does like he just does these crazy like 80 show tours of the United
yeah,
States and
like
every night,
like
no day
50,
off.
50 shows in 51 days. Like, who does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
these days? Yeah,
I
my
always admire it for sure.
me too. My brother Scott, in his first book, he thanked Mike Watt and Thurston Moore for inspiration, and I love that as a writer. Although he played music before he was writing, but that he picked two punk rock heroes that are not much older than us. That
Yeah.
even though we grew up with them, that are pretty approachable. It wasn't like someone that's so high up that you
Right.
can't not relate to.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, David Bowie or something like that. Where you're,
Exactly. Exactly. You also have another band that I love called Judy Chicago that's going to be doing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Judy Chicago is really Ben Coleman and Travis Thatcher. They both have been kind of staples of Atlanta back in the late 2000s. So we
Mhm.
started playing shows when I played in the band Newt to Newt. We started playing shows together around 2008 or so. And it's just two guys with their electronics, and they play like super fun, dancey music, have a great time. I started playing drums with them, like live drums,
Yeah.
because I know all your songs. We're playing shows together every night. Like, let me do some drumming, and then yeah, they were like, sure, no problem. So I played with them for several years, but then life happens, and they moved away. Travis became I mean, he's a synthesizer, amazing dude. He was Wilco's synthesizer or keyboard tech for many years.
Hmm.
Uh, he lives in Charlottesville, Virginia, and Ben is a crazy artist dude. He has, his background is in performance art, which makes him a great frontman. And
Yeah.
he moved to Denver, Colorado, and they're both just going to be in town. And we always said like we want to do a show while we're in town, and then we're going to go up and play in Charlottesville. So that's actually next Thursday, the 30th. We're
Right.
playing Star Bar,
Yeah.
and that should be also a fun place because we always played on Thursday nights at the Star Bar. Remember when they had them? They do free shows on
They did.
Thursday. Just
Pack it
bring
out.
everybody. Yeah, because
Pack
it was
it
just
out.
like it's a free. It was always local bands, and it would be super diverse. So there'd be like some a metal band and like a hip hop group, and then
Dance
like
group, a punk
dance
band. Yeah.
group, some sort of like avant-garde thing, and it'd be amazing, and they'd all ring out, and it was free, so people would just be there just to hang out at the bar. People would be there for the bands. It would be a super great mix of people. So it's just fun to play there on a Thursday night again, and that kind of start the
Right.
weekend off. Plus, it's the beginning of July 4th weekend. I don't think anybody's really going to be going to work on Friday or
No, no. And
hungover or
I
whatever.
think you
So
accidentally described kind of like that band because
yeah,
they're There is avant-garde. There's elements of
Yeah,
punk. There's elements of funk. It reminds me the closest thing to anyone watching us and listening to us talk right now. It's like that dance craze that was coming around in the early 2000s. Like it's it's
yeah.
it, it's like whether it's
Cool.
LCD sound system or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I love all that stuff. And I love it because growing up as a teenager in the 80s, I got turned on to bands like Gang of Four in the late 70s,
right.
and I'm like, oh, there's elements of this, even though there's not the angular guitars and stuff, but it's the beats and the loops and stuff, and I love it. It's a great
Yeah.
band, and if I'm lucky, I will catch Blood Circuits at Boggs at the West End and Judy Chicago at the Star Bar in Atlanta.
Yeah. So let's talk about the big news that
We
we
got so much going on. First of all, I just kind of wanted to again acknowledge three on the ones and twos. Uh,
sure.
and
Don't
thank
forget.
everyone who's watched with us, and thank Cassie. And also congratulations. Didn't we just have 1,000 streams, was it?
Yeah, yeah. Not too shabby. I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take it, especially because it's a passion thing. Uh, we
Yeah.
we always said it's something we love, and if it grows, it grows. And yes, I would have liked it to grow bigger in the beginning, but it's growing now, and I love it. And all the feedback we get is wonderful because they're from true fans, and I love that.
I love doing, I mean, it's for me, it has to be fun to do it. I love, you know, hanging out with you, hanging out with Cassie, talking about a record
It's so much fun.
along with a guest. Sometimes you know the guest, sometimes you don't. I mean, that's also, we talk about like this is the way I meet people is through
Yes,
things like where you're like you do something together. We do a podcast together or something like that, and
right.
it's like okay, well we have a connection now. It's like not like
Wonderful.
I'd be terrible at like just meeting people on the street and just connecting with them. You're that's more your style. I'm more like I have to like I'll go into a record store for 30 years and say probably 20 words, to
But
the
way
person
below, yeah.
until we actually like connect over something. And then it's like, okay, now the door's open or something.
Well,
It's
that's
weird
kind of the thing I was going to
on
get at.
social
Yeah,
stuff.
that's going to get at earlier. It's like, so we've known each other and shared time on stage and off for now we know 28 years, but
Yeah.
now I fly into town and I'm like, hey, I'm flying in from, Little Rock, Arkansas, or flying in from Nashville. And I'm like, let's have a man date. Let's meet at Elmira
Yeah.
and have a beer and a burrito Tuesday afternoon. I'm not telling anybody I'm here, and I truly,
We'll
absolutely,
time.
I love it. It's the best.
It is. No, but I wanted to mention the whole news about the Highlander closing
Yeah. So,
and yeah, it's
and
yeah.
that's so really wild, so that we can talk about, so this show, Burn It Down, right now, as we are talking live, it's topical, because the Highlander is a bar that's been around for 30 years in Atlanta, and then all of a sudden both of our, Facebook pages we're seeing blew up today that it just closed.
Tonight is the last night.
Yes.
Right.
I mean,
Tonight
I
is the
cannot
last
tell you
night.
how many shows I
Yeah.
went to, where I went to meet someone there and then went to see, the specials, or a Bad Brain something. Or we went to a show and then afterwards we went to the Howler. But then also I saw John Zorn there.
Yeah.
I saw No Means No there. I saw Manor Man for the first time there in like 93 or 94.
Yeah, probably that was me too. I saw them at when it was the Midtown Music Hall as the
Me as well.
and that was probably most of the time that I would spend at the Highlander. But I definitely respect it as a fixture of Atlanta, like an
Me
old
too.
part,
Me too.
part of the Atlanta that we grew up in was the Highlander, and so that's to me it's very important more than like. Did I go there very often? Probably in the modern era, not very much because
Oh yeah.
it's not that close to where I live, and but I mean, I used to work at the movie theater right there.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I worked there at that movie theater. I played shows at the Midtown Music Hall. You saw John Zorn there. I saw everybody, Unwound and Brainiac
Oh my
and
goodness. Yeah.
Moonfish and Man or Astroman and
Yeah.
you everybody, like just so many bands, all the Air Miami and all the Mark Robinson Blast Off
Oh
Country
wow.
Style
Yeah.
stuff. Anyway, and then they had such crazy bands there, but then like I said, the Highlander was this crazy fixture, especially as Midtown completely transformed. It's kind
It
of
held on. Yeah, it held on.
it was like this holdout of that old part of Atlanta in there, and I feel like there's not that many of those places around anymore, and that's why I love you know I love Little Five Points. I was walking through there, with my daughters yesterday. We went to Criminal
Mhm.
Records. We were walking through town, through that area, and I was thinking, when I was 15 years old, I was walking up the same street. I was walking up Euclid, passing the Variety
Right.
Playhouse, going to Wax and Facts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And,
Going to
and
the old Criminal Records.
yeah, and it's just crazy because all the buildings are still there and they've really preserved it. Maybe not the shops, of course, or maybe some of the
Right.
stratosphere moved, or the Criminal Records is over there now instead of down here, or whatever. Wax and Facts is still there. Star Bar's still there. Native
That's right.
American jewelry place, Abadabas. It's like there's a whole generation, and I like it's to me that's that part, that little 5 points, and certain places like that in Atlanta, like the Highlander, are to me, kind
Right.
of special places, that have a connection to the
Yeah.
kind of older Atlanta that I remember. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask Brian Kinchlow what his favorite show he ever went to, he'd probably say was he and I seeing No Means No there. I mean, two
yeah,
drummers. I mean, next to Fugazi, maybe the tightest band I ever saw. And
Canada's Fugazi. There you go.
yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't see them there though. But
Uh,
but the thing is it's a sign that's happening all over the country of these
yeah,
great places. We happened with the Point years ago. Before that, it was the Stein Club, and it's happened all over New York City. I mean,
yeah,
growing up in New York, and I've moved back and forth to New York several times. I've lived there 3 times in my life, and I'm such a fan and such a romantic of New York City. But sometimes it's getting harder to love, like because everything that you remember and that you love so much is just going
yeah.
away.
Well, I mean, the future is here. When you look at these, like, kind of when you look at these movies or whatever, and you think about what the future looks like, it's like, well, it's looking like this. So I mean, there's certain things that are just, things are going to change. There's nothing you can do about it. But I do really like how when you do find those places that remind you of that
Oh
time
yeah,
in your life, and it has stuck around. I like that, and I appreciate it, and I kind of cherish that, especially with record stores. Atlanta's really
yeah,
lucky to have such long running record stores. There are record stores that have been around, like Fantasyland and Wuxtree and Wax and Facts, that have been around since I was in high school, and I can still go to today, and it's amazing. It's very unique, I think, with
and
Atlanta.
it's awesome that they made it through the pandemic. They made it change their
Yeah,
hours and cut the staff a little bit, but they're still around. And
they
maybe they're open
survive.
from 2 p.m. to 7, but they're open, and that's tremendous.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I really appreciate the Highlander. I'm going to miss the Highlander as a place. I know it's probably going to be pretty busy tonight there.
I can
So
imagine. Yeah,
a lot of friends will be there for one last drink. But yeah, time moves on and nothing lasts forever. But it's good
yeah.
to have it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
they say all good things, come to an end. But I mean, the memories are wonderful. I'm so glad that you saw a lot of shows there. That's pretty wild. We
Well,
probably were both the same Man or Afterman show, I imagine. But
probably.
they were throwing like star cookies after the crowd, I think.
Yeah, that's so many great shows with Man or Astro Man, and I
I
can't
think a few guys had like TVs on their heads, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, yes. I loved it. I was like, man, this is like my new favorite band. And it probably got me into, which now I'm very into, instrumental music. Like that might have been, you know, the
The
whatever.
seed of all
Yeah,
of that.
the seed
Yeah.
that kicked it all off. And, now I'm listening to Stinking Elizabetta and Dirty Three in the morning while I'm doing some writing and doing some office work, and it's because of seeing that instrumental band, that awesome surf instrumental band.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been great, I mean, having, doing this, of course, but also doing three on the ones and twos and
Yeah,
all the things we do together. So I've
I
really appreciated.
absolutely love it. And, they say good things come to an end. Can you believe him talking for 29 minutes already? It happened so quick. You and I really could talk for 2 hours, but I'd rather us do that not on camera at Elmire next week when we have a burrito and a beer. But
Yeah, we'll have a
uh,
little date.
yes, yes, and happy Father's Day to you,
Thank
and
you.
love to
Appreciate
the
it.
family. But thank you so much for being on the show. And again, Atlanta in the West End Boggs, which is an awesome place. Also, it's a record swap. The show
It
you're playing
is.
on Sunday, so that's going to be really cool.
It's my first record swap, or my first like show playing where, I mean, I've been obviously where people like Gavin would set up his records as
Right.
disc show, and all these people's, but I think this is the first like record swap like to play where I'm going to be, I'm going to have some fun. I mean, I think there's bucket list items. So one of them
Yeah,
is playing record swap, and I know playing a parade would be one. I don't know if you've ever played a parade, like
I
a
did.
Halloween.
I did with the
Okay,
Wolves in
there
like
you go.
2008, and it was
I think,
it was
yeah,
wonderful.
you're right.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I love that the past year or two things have changed and people are getting more creative with shows. Oh, outside, let's do a record swap with it. Let's turn it into this. I'm gonna
Let's
see
just
you
have a band
Sunday.
play. It's cool.
Yeah,
Whatever. I love any show that's in the afternoon on a Sunday. That's all ages. Like
that is
I'll do that. I'll do that for the rest of my life. I love it. I mean, I don't mind staying out till 3 in the morning and all of that stuff too. But I also like I like the variety.
Yeah, I
Just
think we both agreed during that pandemic when I was doing these live streams. I was like, I never want to go on past 9 o'clock again. And then we
yeah.
met and we bump into each other. And we go see Blood Circuits play or Rick Moore, a shout out with Skin Jobs play. And they're playing at a brewery at Sabbath Brewing in East Atlanta Village. And they're playing at 4 p.m. And I'm drinking a pint. And I'm like, are you kidding me? An afternoon show? I'll take it any day of the week. I love it.
Yeah. It's beautiful. The future.
Oh, man.
Future's.
Well, I'm going to see you Sunday, and I'm looking forward to
Yep.
seeing Judy Chicago with the Star Bar. And thank you so much for your time and your friendship. And brand new three on the ones and twos this Thursday. And
Yep.
thank you, everyone, for your support and for watching us and listening to James and I catch up.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Tom.
Take
Appreciate
care.
it.
Good night. We'll see you next week.